Welcome, and thank you for tuning in to Black Women Amplified, the podcast. Your host, Monica Wisdom Tyson, brings you downloadable conversations that matter to women around the globe. We discuss all things Black girl magic, amplify our voices, and transform our challenges into triumphs. Monica calls on her League of Extraordinary Women to push our boundaries, share their expertise, and stories of personal transformation. Welcome your host of Black Women Amplified, Monica Wisdom Tyson.
Hello, Black Women Amplified Tribe. It is your girl, Monica Wisdom. And I am so excited that you are here with us today. We have a very special guest in the building, and I can't wait for you to meet him, and I can't wait for you to hear our incredible conversation. Eric Roberson is a man with many gifts. His art connects with the human spirit in a way that invokes joy and connection. He is a legend amongst legends, who is grounded in generosity and integrity. Beyond his incredible collaborations with our favorites, including Jill Scott, Najee, Music Soul Child, Vivian Green, and DJ Jazzy Jeff, Eric dominates stages across the globe, from London to Japan. As an independent label CEO, Eric's Blue Erro Soul has thrived for over 21 years, has garnered 16 albums, scores of videos, and 2 Grammy nominations. This husband and father of 3 has released his latest song, Lessons, that has evolved into a full studio album, a remix with Kevin Ross, Raheem DeVaughn, and Anthony Hamilton. This project has also inspired a new book called Lessons, 100 Thoughts About Life and Love. Some call Eric a modern philosopher. I simply call him my friend. I could go on forever about how remarkable he is, but I'd rather you hear it for yourself. So sit back, get some wine, and enjoy our incredible conversation with Mr. Eric Roberson. Good evening, Mr. Roberson. How are you?
I am blessed. Good evening to you as well.
Welcome to the Black Women Amplified podcast. I am so excited to have you here, and I want to thank you for spending this time with us. I know that you are a busy soldier out fighting bad music everywhere.
Trying to erase it off the face of this earth.
Right. All right, Superman. So I want to get into this interview head on.
Okay.
You have an amazing album out. You have an amazing book out, and I have enjoyed both of them tremendously.
Thank you.
And this is, I don't know how you did it, your second album in the middle of a pandemic.
Right. That's a good point. I didn't think of that. Yeah, look at that.
I don't know how you do what you do. I think there's probably about 10 of you. So when you started this project, Lessons, was it meant to be a full album?
No, I'm constantly creating. I'm constantly writing, but I definitely, we had just did Here From Here right at the start of the pandemic. And I don't think having an album wasn't even on the radar for me, but I do know that I'm always creating, and usually the creativity will let me know when I have an album ready, usually. Right.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Because you'll find some level of groove. There's 2 things that will happen. Either attention will let you know, or the creativity, the groove of the creativity will let you know. This time, both happened. I got into a beautiful zone in writing and felt very nice about it, felt very good about what I was creating. And at the same time, what I was sharing was getting a tremendous level of movement, so that was like, oh, you know what? I think we have an album. I think we need to slow down and look at this and see what else to add to this to kind of complement it the best way. Because people really responded to Lessons, more. I mean, it's been one of our biggest records of recent years, so at some point you got to acknowledge the obvious and acknowledge the current of what's coming towards you, which direction you're supposed to go.
Right. And researching for this conversation, I went down the Eric Roberson rabbit hole. And you have such a massive career with the people that you've worked with, the projects you've worked on, the 16 albums. I mean, that's crazy. I know people that are sitting on one album every 10 years.
Right.
So the ability to put all this out and the success that you've had, I just wanted to ask you, what was your dream when you started this road of Blue Erro Soul?
That's a great question because I was still trying to figure out my dreams at that point. I think, it comes a point in your life where you start realizing what you wanted before you don't want right now, or what you thought you wanted, you don't really want. And to be even fair and being honest, certain things become a little out of reach and you can be fine with that. At one point, naively, I wanted to match Stevie Wonder's career. I want to say, man, I want to be able to do everything Stevie Wonder did. And at some point, you're like, you know what? For me to do that, the sacrifice I got to do in all the other aspects of my life to kind of match, I'm kind of cool with chasing that dream.
Right.
But what I will tell you when I started Blue Erro Soul, I think the one thing is that I wanted to grow old doing music. That was my dream. That was my overall goal. And I don't think it's changed. That part hasn't changed. My wife was just recently talking about retiring, not she's retiring anytime soon, but just her retiring. And I was like, just so you know, I don't think I'm ever retiring. Like, I don't think so. I'm going to do this till the wheels fall off for real. Like, I don't think I'm retiring. And I think at that time when I made that decision, or when I had that clarity that's what the dream was, from that point on, I've been working towards that. What does that mean? I have to own equipment and own my masters so no one could ever stop me from doing this.
Right.
Obviously, I need to take some level of business serious so that there's a level of income that doesn't let me stop this.
Correct.
And then at the same time, take care of myself so that my instrument is healthy enough to be able to do this in the foreseeable future as well. So I think the dream was to grow old doing music. Many things have changed, but that hasn't.
And you are definitely on the road to doing that. And
because I'm getting old. That's why.
I see a little gray beard.
beard. Amen.
I wanted to also know this album, this song Lessons, the album comes out April 1st, exploded like I've never seen with an independent artist. Yeah. And you are your own machine. So I wanted to know, from a spiritual level, what was your prayer before you began the project?
That's a good question. I mean, I think the prayer has been the same. And that prayer is to not let any of that affect my creativity. And you probably know this. I think I might have shared this with you as well as with your brother, that, I don't really hold critiques or compliments long.
Right.
They don't affect me either side. You could tell me this is my worst album. You could tell me this is my greatest album. What I will tell you is that when I walk in that studio, I won't carry that in there with me.
Right.
I appreciate, I hear it, right. But I learned a long time ago that neither side can really affect me, because either side can do a tremendous amount of damage to the steps that you take. So what I will tell you is that we're in the attention business. I understand that. And you can't take it personal when the attention is not turning your way. What I will tell you is that I operate the same way when the attention isn't there that I do when the attention is there. Okay. Now, from a marketing standpoint, my team is on fire right now. They are firing off on all cylinders, and that's what we are prepared to do. Because we say, guess what? When the attention shifts our way, we do not let it go. And they've worked very hard at that, and I'm at the helm of that. We're in the meetings. We're putting together the marketing plans to do that. But really, from a creative aspect and from a dream standpoint, and listen, a lot of the stuff that I'm talking about, I probably gained from Oshun Day. Like, that's my brother. I learned so much from him. Yeah. But this stuff ain't mine.
Right.
I found it. I put it together. And the moment that I go like this, it's not mine anymore. It's yours. It's theirs. So come Friday when the album comes out, it's no longer mine.
Right.
It's whoever receives it and how it makes them feel and how it makes them move. And then I go to make the next thing. And I mean that wholeheartedly. So I don't really spend much time, to be honest, on praying what it does, because I know it ain't mine.
Right.
I have no control. I have no control of what it does. You know, we're going to, as a business, we're going to work to make sure that money comes back in from what we do. But the overall purpose of it is to move people, and how it moves people, I have no idea how that's going to be. You know, I can assume, but I hope that it moves people the right way, or moves people how they feel it should move them. So I think my prayer is more that I can remain small in the overall aspect of the process, you know, and not let, you know, the worst thing I could ever do is, man, Lessons responded so well. let me try to do another song that responds so well. Like, no, it's, you know, that's
Michael Jackson syndrome.
Yeah, like, nah, I'm good, B. I'm good.
Trying to chase Thriller.
Let's dial back. No, you know. And you know, that's funny because that brings a great point where I feel like the industry, that's one of the things I've never enjoyed about the industry, and it's that everything has to beat out the last thing. Like, everything has to be better than the last thing. And,
right.
And you know, I mean, if I had a really big meal one night, the next night I just might want a sandwich. You know, it's like, so if the next project doesn't beat out the last project, then now you're a failure, or you lost it, or you no longer have it. In the industry, the major industry, that's how they operate. And I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that whatsoever, because if you're naturally creating, some things are going to catch fire and some things aren't. And truth be told, the things that don't catch fire, it doesn't mean it wasn't as good as the thing that did catch fire. Just sometimes it's timing and all those different variables. So I often say the success for me is just the creativity that I can serve someone what we put together. Period.
And you're serving your art, which is a powerful place to be.
Right. Because
one thing about your albums is they are very varied in what you present. One album can have more of a bit of a hip hop feel. One album can be more of a crooner. Like, you just explore music and your art. And that's why I believe people stay engaged with you, because they grow with you. As opposed to each album sounding like a continuation of the next album.
You better listen to my music. I mean, because I'm growing, right? Because I'm growing, and I try to, I don't think there's much. I've never made an album in hopes to change someone's opinion of me, or I've never made an album to try to appease a certain group. It's still esoteric. It's still whoever's meant for is meant for. I'm fine with who it's not meant for. And sure, we're dealing with a larger level of attention right now with Lessons, and we're taking advantage of that. But it still doesn't change the process. Everything is still esoteric. You know,
100%.
I ain't trying to change anybody's course. I'm not trying to win anybody over or whatever. This is really, I'm lighting a flare for those who know.
Yes.
I'm lighting a flare for those who want to come.
Yes.
You want to feed off of this? Come on in. We're here. We're here to serve. And that's
the table has been set.
The table has been set.
Amen.
The utensils have been washed. Thoroughly. You know? So come feast with us, please.
Okay, I'm going to stay in your music for a second. One thing I noticed about this album is it's a bigger album, meaning I think the production is bigger. I think the characters you create are more complex in each song. And I also feel like you're pulling from your musical theater background in this album. Because even the previous album, Here to Here, is that the correct title?
Here from Here.
Here from
Look
Here.
At you don't know my music. Look at that.
I do.
So, no, I'm joking.
It was more hip hop-ish, which is a lane you stay in, where like the way that you sing is much more like a MC as opposed to a crooner. Whereas this one has moved over into like orchestrations and harps and violins and the horn section. Like, I can't wait I would love to see this album. And I know I'm talking too much, but on a symphony stage. With a full, like, that's where I see this, like on the level of a Josh Groban or a Michael Bublé or something like that. It's just a bigger album. And was that intentional, or is it just a part of your organic growth?
I don't think it was intentional. I can't really take that much credit. But what I will say, and this is not necessarily to speak down on anything that's happened before, but what I will tell you is that I feel like all parties involved on this album, from mixing the album to even doing the artwork, there was a higher level of connectivity and communication, and just even Brother Antone, who mixed the album, talking with the producers, there was more conversation. There was more conversation. And I think to a degree, everyone involved kind of felt like this project was very important, you know? And I think even with this record, I think I left a lot more room for everyone to voice their ideas.
Yes.
You know, and I think a lot of times, like even when we say Hear From Here, might have been more like, this is the crazy stuff I got in my head. Everyone, all right, you grab a guitar and join me. You know,
right.
And a lot of albums are made that way. And guess what? It doesn't mean it's bad or less or whatever, where this album was a little bit more made of, okay, this is the idea. How do we flush this out more? What do you think? Oh, let's try to flush it out this way. Okay, well, let me try this too. And I think that was the difference. And, you know, and it's not even a thing of, like I said, I don't know if it's better or worse. I think it's just different. And I think that's where we are. And I do feel very proud of the work we put in to try to stay very true to our initial feelings, our initial ideas. These songs, there's times, man, what I'll tell you, this is it right here. I have overproduced a numerous amount of songs in my history. Most producers will tell you that, like, right? I've overwritten a numerous amount of songs. My insecurity has kicked in. I just kept adding a snare, kept adding this and that and put strings over it, or writing another additional verse. I can't allow this space to happen and whatever. And I don't think that happened this go around. I think this time was very much a true aspect of, like, does it feel done? Then it's done. Does it move you? Does it give you goosebumps? Then it's done, you know? And I think that was the difference with this album.
I feel that when I listen to each song. I love opening up a CD, and the thought and the love that you put into this, just the packaging, it took me all the way back to when I opened. I'm a huge Janet Jackson fan. When I would get a Janet Jackson CD and open it up and read all the details, because I think everybody that puts into a project is very important. And I see that in everything that you did with this project. Not that you haven't done it previously, but this just feels like something special. And you just explained it, that you allowed other people to put more of an input in it, which I think is amazing.
Yeah. Because
you have crafted such a strong team. And speaking of your team, a lot of people really talk to you about your music, but not many people speak to you as a CEO. You have had a company for 21 years, and you have maintained a business for 21 years. And that is something to be applauded. When you started with Blue Erro Soul, did you anticipate that 21 years later, you'd still be here?
No, man, no, definitely not. I wish, we were so up and down, in this business, and one year make a ton of money, next year be flat broke and stuff like that. So, I mean, if you told me, how old I was at that time, that 21 years later, that I would still be able to be doing this, I mean, I would hope, but I don't think I ever even thought that far, Right. I don't know if I thought that far. I don't know. But I did know that where I wasn't satisfied. Mm-hmm. At that point, when we made that shift, when I started Blue Erro Soul, things were actually working very good. I probably sabotaged myself a great deal, but I was landing more songs than I had ever landed. I had a publishing deal that put some money in my bank account, I had money and all like that. So it wasn't like I made this shift because nothing else was working. I made this shift because I wasn't content. I was like, I don't want to go the rest of my life doing this type of music. I don't want to go the rest of my life making songs and taking it to meetings in New York going, what do you think? You want to put it on this art?
Right.
And compromise and creativity. I love so many C words. I've been writing this essay about that, like completion, creativity, consistency, collaboration, and all those things. And I guess compromise, now I think about what I say, one thing that I didn't put in the essay was compromise, but I might need to put it in there.
Yes.
Maybe what you should not compromise. There's certain things that I feel like you shouldn't compromise. That initial idea that took your breath away. I don't know if you compromised that. And I think that was what I turned away from.
Right.
And I risked all the money from whatever. And thankfully the business took off and saved me and allowed me to find that place where I didn't have to compromise. And I found some great workers over time. And, just the other day, Anshia and Demo, and I believe Sweetlocks as well, was saying this is the longest job they've had.
Oh, wow.
And that meant a lot. I was like, wow, that I'm not firing them anytime soon either, Yeah. So it meant a lot for them to say that. And even, through the pandemic, we were able to still pay salaries.
Oh, wow.
We were able to still work things out. And I think that's the responsibility of being a CEO. I'll tell everybody with my company, the company has never really been about being Motown or being the biggest company. What I stand on is that when you look at the nucleus, the foundation of people that started this company, they've always moved better. And I think it gives enough room for you to learn, improve, experiment, so that you either improve my business or you can go and it improves your business or the next company that you go to. And the track record, it shows that, the track record. I don't know if everyone's successful after this because of Blue Erro Soul, but I think we are a part of that. And I'm proud of that.
Definitely the way that you put out product and your integrity in your work, it definitely shows that you have a strong work ethic and a solid team behind you, because I don't see the missteps. Sure, there's many, but I don't think the public sees them. Speaking of your team, you have 2 dynamic Black women on your team. And of course, we are Black Women Amplified. And I would love to know more about them and how they have helped you become a better businessman.
So there's 2, and it's probably, arguably I could say more now, but now those are my 2 permanent, and there's newer members who we're still, figuring out, right? But I'll speak for the 2 that you're talking about. So Sweetlocks is one, and Sweetlocks is, best way I could say, is my right hand. She's the day-to-day operator of, when you see the posts on Instagram and Facebook, and she's the one who holds me accountable. So she makes sure that I get my stuff done. I guess that's probably the best way. And at the same time, if I have some quirky, crazy idea, she's the one who's going to figure out how we do it.
Oh, wow.
That's Sweetlocks. She's the one who, when we're shooting a music video, she's keeping us on time so that we don't get too loosey. She's like, we have 2 more hours on this shot and we have to go to the next thing. Thank you. And I brought her there for that. And I'm like, but I'm trying to work this. Like, no, we have to finish this. She's the one who keeps us accountable, And it's funny because she's the little sis, but she's probably the big sis of the company, And then you're talking about Anshia, who's my other right hand. And Anshia, so interesting. Anshia was first in this company doing something in another capacity. And at one point, this is probably going back 7 years, maybe, or 6 years. I remember in a meeting, I said, I need more people in booking. I need more people to like, I don't need everyone over in this side. I need, we're kind of swamped in booking shows. And I remember saying, I could do that. I can give it a try. And she might have had more experience than I really thought she did at the time, but she gave it a try. And now she's literally, it's not that she handles booking inside my company. I arguably am signed to her booking company now.
Oh,
you know
wow.
what I mean? Like she has taken on so many clients now, and it's really grown because she's just a powerhouse. She really is. And just recently, I asked her, I said, hey, I need more of you. I need your brain
right.
in other capacities in my build. I know you handle the booking, right. but you're too great of a resource and too great of a mind for me to just allow you to do booking. I need you to come over this other side as well, because I said she's just a powerhouse, and I really couldn't get any of this stuff done without the two of them. They're really, really important. And I think it's important for me. I'm proud of the fact that I've employed two amazing Black women to literally run my company, and obviously I have Jarrell and Demo. We have other people who are just as important.
Yes.
But, without Sweet Locks and without Anshia, this thing doesn't run. It doesn't, and I understand that, and they're important pieces to the puzzle and to the Blue Erro Soul imprint.
How are you able to move yourself out of the way so that they can lead in different aspects of your company?
I'm still learning. It really used to be that you would have to pry the work out of my hands.
Right.
It really used to be that. And, but then it gets to a point where, you just don't have but so much time. You don't have so many hours in a day. And I had to learn to delegate. And they do a good job of wrestling things out of my hands as well. But, I think if I'm reminded that what I want for them, and I think with all of it, there's always a point, and this happens with everybody. I think as we're working on the marketing for my album, when we finish a meeting, I talk to Demo and say, okay, now what did you take from this? How can you apply it to your album? And there's times where, I'll say the same thing to Anshia or maybe Sweet Locks or Jarrell. Like, how is this working for your business? So just taking the time to sow into their companies as well. Because guess what? If their companies improve, it only improves my company, and vice versa. But it's a level of trust. They've been with me so long, and they know when they need to wrestle something out of my hands.
Right.
It happens still. It's like I said, it's still what I struggle with. But they do a great job, man. And I think, what I'll tell you, as I often said, that, it's easy to find someone to do great work, right?
Right.
And it's hard to find someone to do great work in what you want them to do.
Yes.
Right. But the part of going to that is that it can't work just with everyone just doing great work of what you want to do. You got to give them some room, though, to still do the great work that they see they want to do. And I think that's what we have right now. I have an amazing staff who hears me, believes in my crazy ideas and dreams. They may say differently when I'm not around. Like, right, he out of his mind. We're gonna follow him. All right, we're gonna crash and burn together. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I really want. I said, guess what, man? We failed enough. We survived enough failures that if I'm doing something and I know it's gonna sink with me. Then let's go.
100%.
Because I know we're gonna climb out of this, and I'm gonna pull you, and you're gonna pull me. But trust me, let's see. Because guess what? If it don't sink, it's gonna fly. And truth be told, I feel like if they come in the room with the same idea, that may risk everything. I'm probably buying into it too. So
that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, man. I think we're doing really well right now. I'm really proud of my team right now. Really, really proud of what they're doing.
And I am impressed that you were able to keep your staff through what we have been through in the last 2 years.
Yeah.
That is so impressive. How were you able to navigate all of that?
Knowing how to pivot. And truth be told, like even Demo, who is our road manager, and he's, he's taking care of all the production stuff, and he's doing some booking as well. So guess what? We're off the road. Guess what, man? You're going to have to do something else for you know what I mean? Like, we can't just, I ain't on the road, so I'll see you in 2 years.
Right.
No, man, you're going to learn how to do some graphics. You're going to learn how to do this. You're going to have to take on, and he took on other jobs inside the company while we were off the road. And technically everybody did, but we learned how to pivot. I mean, everything went virtual. I was doing so many virtual shows.
I remember.
And we spent a substantial amount of time working on the technology so that we could do a different kind of show, and it paid off. It paid off. I mean, there were corporations and just many people who came in and invested in the kind of show we were able to do. And I included my band. And even with that, like my band, I was able, not just my staff, I was able to pay my band for every show we did,
wow.
you know? And that meant a lot. So we got really, really busy. Of course, we had to take a minute to learn what we were trying to do. And I had this, once again, a little crazy idea. And it's like, why don't we do this? Let me pull up these green screens, these cameras. And for about a month, we just crash and burn. And how can we get this? That's not working. This feedback, why is it, you know, it really wasn't working.
Right.
And everyone was patient and just trying to figure it out. And then it clicked. But I think we knew it was going to click. We just had to get to it. And everyone in the staff was all hands on deck. Everyone in the staff. So it's not a thing of going, oh, I do booking. So no, I'll be over here. No, I'm not doing that. It's like, if you had to make a flyer, if you had to write a bio, right. You know what I mean? If you had to do research on how to do something with a camera, it was like, let's do that because, you know, the touring, the shows is the main income. And that got evaporated. It was gone. So, all right, how we gonna make this money? Because we got to make this money, you know. And we were able to make it. We were arguably at one point during the pandemic busier than we were if it wasn't a pandemic. You know what I mean? And we were like enormously busy and profitable. It was like really, really moving and working. You know, so. I by no means I wouldn't trade. I would definitely wish that we never had a pandemic, you know, first and foremost.
100%.
But we were able to pivot and make the best out of it.
And you did it well because I watched a couple of the online concerts and I said, no, wait a minute. Is Steven Spielberg over here? Like, what's really going on? Because that technology was phenomenal. I said, Eric, you need to just sell how to do this.
Well, you know, I mean, I taught myself, can you say that? That's not the right credit. I taught myself a lot of Final Cut, but yet at the same time, I had a lot of friends who helped me and taught me Final Cut and graphic design. But I also fell in love with graphic design. I really fell in love with all of that. And it became a new passion for me as well. But we wanted to really, you know, for me, I didn't want to just hire a whole bunch of graphic artists, and I did hire some, but I didn't want to just hire a whole bunch. I had to show what I wanted first. And then if I had to go through that level of just even showing you what I wanted, I might as well, there's some of it I might as well just go ahead and do.
Right.
You know, so it worked out. You know, I'm really happy with how that is. And guess what? The green screen is still set up. We still working, you know, real talk.
It was a beautiful and to have some peace and joy during that time was really heartwarming, and that you took enough care, you and your team took enough care to put that out there. I know you had to get paid, but a lot of people didn't go to that extreme. I mean, there was one point where you were doing a duet with Avery Sunshine. I said, I know she's not at this house. How is he doing that? Yeah. I love it. That's what I want you. That's what I want everybody to think. Like, how is he pulling this off? Right. You know, and I think the magic of it was also like, you know, we had to learn how to sing and read, right? So I had to sing and look at a chat. So people at that point were watching pre-recorded shows for quite some time because I'm on stage with a full band and they're in the graphics. They're moving and disappearing and popping up and whatever. And then someone will say, I'm really enjoying this. And I'll say, oh, thank you, Tamika. I'm glad you're enjoying it. Or someone will say, I like your hat. And I say, oh, you like the hat? I appreciate it. and what will happen is every time they'll go, oh my God, wait a minute. This is live. Like, oh no, he sees me. Like, he knows I'm here. And it would change their whole perspective. So now the thing's flying over my head. They're like, yo, how is this happening? Right. You know, so, but it went through a lot of good friends helping me figure out technology. And we had some ideas. A good friend of mine, DJ Mosky, I got to give him a lot of credit because he was the one
before that, and honestly, we were doing some virtual. I was in the studio just standing in front of my speakers going, can I borrow you? And we were actually making money doing that. It was horrible, but it was like we were doing it. And then he was like, yo, I got this idea. And he's like, are you watching what these DJs are doing? And this and that. He said, yo, you got to try to figure out how to do that.
Oh, wow.
Like, how do you sync it all together and have your band playing, and I was like, all right. And we probably stayed up for a month
mm-hmm.
to like 4:00 in the morning every night, just trying. And it wasn't working for the first 3 weeks. It was not working.
Mm-hmm.
And then it clicked. It's like, cause you were trying to, what is it? It's like, I'm trying to create something on my computer, then send it to the screen, and then yet at the same time send it back to me so I can hear it, and then send it back. It was mind boggling. We were really crashing and burning, but it worked out, and we were all better for it. We helped people get their minds off of what they were going through for a while.
Yes, you did, because I was in lockdown for 2.5 months and couldn't work. I said, well, at least I have Eric.
I'll take it.
So let's get into this book, Lessons, 100 Thoughts on Life and Love by Mr. Eric Roberson. Now, I know that you have a journals full of poetry, essays, thoughts, song ideas. How were you able to condense this down to just 100? And is there a volume 2 coming out?
That's the running joke right now, is that like people are like, are you doing another one? Cause this whole thing started from, marketing, campaign for Lessons, right? So for each, I would show a movie clip or a TV show, like your favorite part of Love Jones, or your favorite part of Love and Basketball, your favorite part of Martin, favorite part of Different World. And just that, we'll put the music to it and it would create a conversation piece. It worked. It really did work. But then, the next part was, well, what if we add a lesson to it? And I remember the first time I did it, was like, are we really going to do this? And it just, I probably thought we were going to do, in all honesty, I thought we were going to do like 20. You know what I'm saying? Like, right. I thought it'd be like, this
we'll
is cool.
Put a few out there and see what happens.
We'll put a few out there, see what happens.
Right.
And then we're at like 79, right? And it's like, I think we're at like 79. Do we keep going with this thing? It's like, and the beautiful thing was, it grew into something different. I always challenge myself in writing. It doesn't have to be a song. It doesn't have to be a poem. Sometimes it just have to be layers. Like, Lessons at the end of the day could also be called layers, right? Like the album as well as the book, but the book especially, because I may watch a movie scene and the movie scene would be very simple. And initially I'll watch it and I'll go, there's nothing here. There's no lesson in this. Wow. Okay. And I'd watch it again and watch it again. And the more I watched it, the more I wouldn't look at the lead character. I look at the supporting act. Or now I might look at the extra or then I look at the food they're eating or the way they touch the other person's shoulder. And the more you watch it, the more you remove the initial layer of the story. Right. And maybe the layer after that. And then that's where the lesson would be at. And some of the best writing in that book was from staring at one thing for an hour. Oh, wow. And the longer I stared at it, the more I got from it. And the more I got from it. And guess what? That's the magic of the Bible. That's the magic of so many movies and just art in general, that there's layers to it that you can feed from. And here's, one of the simplest ones is, oh man, I got the book right here. Let's see if I could see how fast I can find it. There's, what's it? Best Man 2. The Best Man 2 is just, we took the scene where they were doing the dancing for their wives. Yes. And that's all it was. They were dancing for their wives and we took lessons and just had them do that. I don't think that's that. Let's see if I can find this. Lord, I don't have to make you edit this thing. Good Lord.
Sir, you have an index in the back.
I'm looking at and that's what I'm looking at. That's the crazy part. I'm looking at the index. So it's either 10, or it's it's lesson 6. Look at that. Lesson
70?
number 6. It's right there. Lesson number 6 was so right there in front of my face. I went right back. I started in the back, and that's the problem. Okay. So they were dancing, right? They were dancing for their wives. And it was like, okay, what is there to get out of this? And the more I watched it, so what I got out of it was lesson number 6. If you find yourself with someone special in the early stages of love, do not be afraid to entertain the idea of becoming more. Allow the thought to dance in your mind, perform in your dreams, and compose your prayers. Let God choreograph your steps and watch your idea transpose to a beautiful reality. And it's like, that came from just those guys imitating New Edition. You know what I mean? It was like, but the moment I was like, oh, they're on stage, but we're talking about the stages of love and the stages of life. It's not necessarily so. And once I saw that, it just another layer opened up, and that's the beauty of writing. That's the beauty of discovering and observation and collaboration and stuff like that. So the book has a lot of that, of we take something very small and very simple and it pulls something that moves me and improves me, first and foremost.
You better give us some Shakespearean sonnets up in here. Now, speaking of the book, I picked out a few of my favorites. I'll probably just go through a couple. And I want to read them, and I'd love to hear the origin story behind them, just like you did now. Now, lesson 42. Now, I have to ask the question, is this a nod to Chadwick Boseman?
Let me go to lesson 42.
I'll just have you read it. How about that?
Okay. Lesson 42 was about, so that's from the movie 42, which is about Jackie Robinson.
Yes.
And then perception is the foundation of happiness. Therefore, it is extremely difficult to make someone happy when they don't have the capacity to see you. But when you are seen, your presence will awaken a joy in them and your heart will amplify it. And there's a scene in there where Chadwick Boseman is playing Jackie Robinson, and I forgot the young lady's name who plays his wife. She's phenomenal. But she's speaking of, are you happy? Did my mom seem happy at the wedding? Did my brother seem happy at the wedding? And then she says, were you happy at the wedding? And then he said, come on, of course. And she said, but what if I can't make you happy? And I think that was the spark of that aspect of like perception is the foundation, of happiness. But, for you to be able to make someone happy, they have to be able to see you.
Right.
They have to be able to see your heart.
You have a song about that. We'll talk about that.
Yes. And that bled into on the album, the song Seen. I had to learn to be seen for love to find its home.
Yes.
And I think a lot of that also goes back to even like when I was trying to get signed early in my career, but yet I had spent so many years introducing myself as Eric Roberson, the songwriter. Why would someone sign me when they don't see me that way? They don't see the artist in me because I wasn't presenting the artist in me. I had to learn to allow that part of me to be seen, to risk everything. And I think maybe introducing myself as Eric Roberson, the songwriter, was a safe way.
Right.
But I was hiding other aspects of my abilities, other aspects of my career. And so we had to learn to meet success where it will see you at. Learn to meet love where it will see you at. I think that's the part of that. I mean, I think the honor is really the fact that Chadwick Boseman played Jackie Robinson, which was a great role and a great person for him to, but I think that was just really pulling from that scene.
That's beautiful. Another one that I fell in love with is lesson 100. On page 97.
Let's go to it. If you feel something, challenge yourself to support it, especially if you find that the thing to support is yourself. I wanted to end with that. The last lesson I wrote out of all of these was lesson 100. And, I think from the very first time when I started Blue Erro Soul, I would get on stage and I would end the concert going, if you feel something, I challenge you to support it. And it didn't have to be my albums. It didn't have to be my show. I just wanted to be an example that you could find something you could feel.
Right.
You know, so if you feel this, I challenge you to support it. If not, go support your friend's business. Go eat somewhere at a restaurant that somebody you know put effort in that restaurant and the food that's there. But the new epiphany that I had 20 something years later in that same state, I've been saying that statement for 20 something years, but the statement means more when if you feel something, I challenge you to support it. What do you feel in your heart? Stop ignoring it. What do you feel in your gut? What do you feel in your spirit? I challenge you to support it. I'm not talking, when I say I challenge you to support, I don't mean buy my book or buy my album. I challenge you to follow what that feeling is. You know, what that feeling is, what God is nudging you to do and how often we ignore those things, you know, and I challenge you to not ignore it. And I think that's what lesson 100 meant for me.
That's beautiful, especially in this time where people are reevaluating their lives and what's important to them and how they're going to live the next 5 years. I think that's a pivotal message to give to people. And I love how the lessons come into your music, this album, which I'm telling you, Eric, I think I've listened to it 15 times and I got it on Friday. I haven't listened. I was listening to John Baptiste and I put that down. I said, I got to pick up Eric. And I keep going back because I hear more and more in it as I go. And your pen game, let's talk about that a little bit. Your pen game is legendary. Tell us some of the people that you have written for.
I've had the fortunate opportunity to work and write for a lot of people. Music Soul Child, Jill Scott, Vivian Green, Charlie Wilson, Will Downing, Carl Thomas, 112, Kenny Lattimore, Shantae Moore, Algebra Blessed, and a slew of others that my mind is escaping me. You know, but I've been really fortunate, you know, I've been very fortunate to work with people I believe in, people I'm friends with, people I would have bought their albums, whether I was on their album or not, you know. So it's been an honor to be able to do that, you know, to be able to share those many ideas with so many different people.
And the beauty of your music is we've also been able to be introduced to people that I never heard of before. For instance, your song, Letting My Guard Down with Moo Fresh. First of all, let me tell you, that's some Jill Scott stuff right there. That's some Erykah Badu stuff right there. And that's a prayer. I mean, I listened to it again and again, and I'm not going to get too deep into it, but I could. But to hear your energy flowing with her energy, it's definitely a combination between the feminine and the masculine. About letting your guard down.
You know, so the beauty is that, you know, we sing it together. So you can take it for what it's worth, that the man is saying it just as much as the woman's saying it, you know, and there's something for that. I think there's no accidents. What I would tell you is when we wrote the song, we wrote it. So we do this event called Chasing Goosebumps, DJ Jazzy Jeff does, where he brings us all to the studio and we make an album in 1 week. And it's the craziest thing. It's really, really crazy, but yet at the same time, it can be very rewarding. We were working on her album for Chasing Goosebumps, when we were making an album for her, for Moo Fresh. And she's a very powerful, principled artist and woman. And every song was very strong and defiant. And I'm a warrior and I'm a strong Black woman. You ain't going to tell me nothing, you know? And I think, so I wrote it with the young lady named, Musina and my, Carvin Hagens, these two other writers. And what we did was we wanted to approach the other side of the warrior, you know, like what happens when you get home and you take off the armor? Like, do you love hard too? Like, you know what I mean? Is there a moment where you allow yourself to be loved? And I think that's where Letting My Guard Down came from. Like, you know, at some point we got to take the capes off. Some point we got to take the armor off and allow ourselves once again to be seen and then to be loved. And then singing it together blurs the line of who needs to do it more, because we both need to do it.
So you were physically in the studio together singing it?
Yes. And what I will tell you is that we have footage of it. We laughed. Let me tell you, and I'm sure like they will tell you, if the giggles enters the vocal booth, you might as well cancel the session. You might as well say, this was nice. I'll see you tomorrow. Right. And foolishly, because neither one of us lives in Delaware, we had no choice but to fight through it. Right. And we probably fought through it for about 2 hours, maybe 3 hours of laughing, of falling to the floor before we finally got a takeout, before we finally was able to sing it all the way down. And it was a complete struggle. It was a complete struggle, but that's one of my laughing buddies, man. And I don't know how it started, but for the first 2 hours, it was for so. It was like, that was the first 2 hours. Like, first 3 hours, it's like, and we had a camera on us the whole time. Literally, that's how it went and it was just so silly. But we got through it. We got through it, That's
hilarious. And that just shows that you all were like ready, but you needed that laugh.
Yes.
Sometimes you have to go there. Another song that I'm in love with is Everything. Jump off with the lyric, if you walk away from me, you can drain the sea.
It won't be as empty as me.
It won't be as empty as me.
Yeah.
I had to pause.
Yeah.
That's deep.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a song of extremes, right? It's with songwriters, so it's a song of extremes. But yeah. I mean, I love that line. If you walk away from me, you could drain the sea. It won't be as empty as me. And what's interesting is that, so I don't know so if I wrote Lessons on a Tuesday, I don't know what day it was. I think I wrote Everything that Friday. It was only a few days after that, which once again, I think we found this rhythm and we started, going like, this is where it tells you that here's an album is coming, and yeah, to me, Everything is like Lessons' cousin. It's like its first cousin. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So, yeah, it was a good song. We really feel good about it. And I love the ending. I love both songs have this very spiritual aspect to it, where you're talking about God in a different subject matter. Mm-hmm. I'm thanking God for how amazing you are. And the end of Everything has that there's such an intimate moment. It's very church quartet-ish, but yet it's talking about how special someone is to you. And, yeah, I feel good. I feel really good about that song. It's one of my favorite songs on the album.
I'll tell you what, there's going to be a lot of babies born to this album.
Hey.
This is like that juicy Maxwell Hang Suite type of vibe. But bigger and completely you. The last song I want to ask you about is Good Loving. This is what I want to know. First of all, sexy song. But I have to know, what is Pops laughing at the end of the song, speaking of laughter?
I think he's laughing at my mom because he goes, did you ever think it could get better than this? And I forgot what she said. She might have said, no, baby, or something like that. And I think it's just the joy of that. They were having such a good time in the studio. And that laugh is everything to me. That laugh is, because the song, I might be singing about a different type of good loving. Right. But the beautiful thing is, like, once again, we talk about layers, right? Here I'm talking about, I don't need a chili. I don't need you to pay no bills. I just need you to rub on me is technically what I'm singing about, right? And then here comes my dad at the end of the song, and he's talking about, we've been together for 50 something years. And then who'd have thought, we was from this little country, little hick town, and we would have all this. You think it could be this good? You think it could be as good as this? And she goes, no, baby. You know what I mean? It's like, and it means that it's like the layers of good loving, the layers of, how they got this far by leaning on each other, by that's the definition of good loving. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And it means far deeper than my little crass stuff I was saying in the beginning. you know. But that's the beauty. And there's no accident, because guess what? They could have came over when I was working on Don't Run From Me, Baby, or they could have came over when I was working on Scene. They came over when I was working on Good Loving. Mm-hmm. That's what they came with. So there's no accident. I'm I trust the reasoning for things. I trust that, if you showed up for this is why you showed up. And this is for, and there are no accidents, and it made sense. Mm-hmm. Now, it would have sounded good if my dad showed up when we were doing Start All Over Again. He probably would have sung on that, and it probably would have been good. But it made sense that he showed up when I was working on Good Loving, and it probably needed a different perspective for that song. And I'm glad he did it.
Well, the level of wisdom that he, even that little bit that he gave, the level of wisdom to be in a marriage for 50 plus years and still laugh and giggle with each other.
Right.
That's a beautiful thing. I really, really, I want to get into this last section, but I really appreciate you talking about this album and this book, because I think it's, not only is it beautiful, but it's very important for right now, because everybody's dealing with so much of many other things that we need a place to collect our thoughts and gather ourselves.
Yeah, I get it.
Now, the next section I want to get into, the next part is you have a very great way of expressing a man's perspective through the lens of love and relationships. And this is going to be like a rapid speed thing, because I know you got to get out of here. I asked my tribe if they had one question to ask a man, what would it be? So I have a few questions, and if you are game. Let's go.
Let's go.
All right. Lauren wanted to know, what are you doing to heal your prior trauma?
Assessing who I am today and realizing that the previous trauma belonged to who I was before. Mm-hmm. And if I no longer have to honor the promises I made when I was something else, why should I carry on anything from before? Everything should be dedicated into the now. And I think so. It starts with that perception first. If it's a stronger level of trauma, then it should take certain levels of steps, and maybe that's therapy. My new thing is like finding time to find time. Mm-hmm. So find time to carve out some time to address what happened before and how you're different now. Just tell you, we bought a truck recently, and mind you, not the most expensive, crazy out of the blue truck or whatever, right? But we bought a truck recently. We bought a brand spanking. I wanted that joint straight off the truck. Like, give me that truck right there, right? I'm usually one who will buy a couple of years old. I want to cut a couple of years off, save me some money. That's the smart thing to do, right?
Right.
But this, for some reason, I was like, I want this one. I want this one right here. I want it brand new. I want the screen to be disrespectful. I want everything, whatever. And my wife was like, but that's such and such and such. That's a lot, right? It was like, once again, we wasn't buying a Ferrari truck or a Range Rover, but she still was like, that's a lot. Mm-hmm. And I was like, that's a lot for the bank account we had when we first got married. Mm. It's not a lot for what the bank account we got now. Just if I'm just keeping really 100. It's not. Mm-hmm. I'm not outlandish. I'm not buying an Aston Martin. There's no need. I don't have a desire to like go that crazy, But guess what? I can't live off of what my bank account once was. Mm-hmm. I got to live off what my bank account is now. Same thing for my spirit. Same thing for my dreams. Same thing for my morals, my perception. I can't live life today off of mistakes or dreams or promises that I made to others or to myself before. Mm-hmm. I have to assess who I am today and what promises I want to make to myself now. And I think that's the way you start the healing process.
You can't see me, but I'm over here in the amen corner talking about amen. Hallelujah.
Come on.
I have a group of goddess girls. They live in California, and we talk once a month. And the theme that we had for this year was to normalize luxury.
Nice. And I like that.
Yeah. To be open, like you said, be open to the experiences of where we are now, not where we were in our 20s. So, You're in a perfect alignment with that. Thank you for that. I have to listen to this 1,000 more times.
Oh no, you're all good.
The second question is from Stacy. She wants to know, what is your definition of a man?
Ooh, man. I don't know if I ever thought about that. What is your definition of a man? That's great. Okay. My definition of a man is, see, that's why I'm going to be careful, because I don't want to disrespect the definition of a woman in trying to define a man. Mm-hmm. But the definition of a man is a person who is willing to protect what he feels he needs to protect, stand in the way he feels will guide those who follow him and stand with him. Mm-hmm. And it's tough, because as much as you want to speak about strength, the new thing for me in defining a man is how willing they are to be vulnerable. Mm-hmm. As much as it's the contradiction, as much as I want to tighten the cape and show how much I'm Superman, I also want to loosen the cape and show you my flaws. Right. Mm-hmm. So to me, that's the balance. The balance is that a man, the definition of man is someone willing to protect you, but man enough to tell you that they need some protection too.
I think that's the one thing that made people fall in love with Denzel, is that one tear. You got to see his sensitive side, and that he was in pain, even though he was standing there being strong. And I do believe that more men and women need to get to the place where you're comfortable with that, to be able to show your, I'm not even going to call it soft, vulnerable side, because that's about being seen, right?
Yeah, that's the whole thing. So, it's funny. Bill Withers said, the only difference between a male song and a female song is the ego. Mm. At the end of the day, we want the same thing. A man wants love just like a woman wants love. Mm-hmm. His strength and stature brings on obligation. Mm-hmm. And that obligation we may confuse as the definition of a man. Right. But for me, the definition of a man might be the same as the definition of a woman. Mm-hmm. Really, at the end of the day. I mean, really, in all honesty, that's why I was like, Paul, I'm like, everything I'm saying, I'm like, but I kind of would define her that way too. You know what I mean?
Well, you're defining what you're defining is the human experience.
The human experience. You're absolutely right. What I will tell you is that it's different though, because where men are logical, women are emotional. Where men are emotional, women are logical, right? And where men are competitive, women are competitive in a whole different way. Doesn't mean they're not as competitive. They're more competitive, but just in a different way. Mm-hmm. Where men are strong, maybe from a physical sense, women are even stronger, maybe that in a different sense, right? But we both have strength. We both are competitive. We both are logical. We both are emotional, but just different. But at the same time, it's truly the yin and yang. It's like, we're the same in some regard. But in my household, I think we figured out the fact that my wife runs this house, I think I protect the house and she runs it. Mm-hmm. If that makes the most sense.
Oh, 100%. You all have defined what your marriage is for you.
Yeah.
And it works, because 13 years in, you're heading to 54 years.
Hey. Right. Listen, God willing.
So I wanted to know, what is your secret to staying in love?
Being willing to learn someone over and over again, and having the perception of falling in love with what you learn. My wife would not be the same person in 10 years. She's not the same she was 10 years ago. Not saying that she's more or less. What she is that she's amazing, and I'm willing to learn how amazing she's about to be. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the part of staying in love is the respect aspect, first and foremost, that she's earned the right for me to find time to find how special she is,
Mm.
you know, and never get so busy or never get so occupied to the point where I can allow myself to forget the pain she went through to give me my kids, the sacrifice she went through to allow me to have the career I have, the patience and support she's provided to all of that. And that's at the tip of my tongue when I tell her I love her. That's right there, you know? So that to me is the formula, is that whoever she's going to be, whatever she's going to do, I'm going to learn that and love that.
Oh, that is so beautiful. My aunt and uncle have been married almost 60 years. And the one thing I've told my uncle, my aunt's husband, is that the one thing I appreciated about him was the fact that he allowed her to be herself.
Yeah.
And they're in their 80s. And so for a man to have that level of insight in an era where a wife was a specific thing, he allowed her to be successful too. And that has been my example. And I see that is your example as well.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Yeah.
Oh, 100%.
And we're blessed to have examples like that too. You know, not everybody has that. And I realize that, so I don't take it lightly.
Well, let me tell you something, Eric. I have appreciated this conversation on so many levels. I thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule. I have one last question.
No problem.
And then you can give your information about your tour coming up, your dates, where people can find you and all the good things.
Nice.
I'm a Jesus girl.
Amen.
And I believe where two or more are gathered, there is God. And so I always end my conversations with asking a question that we can put into the universe so we can all gather around it. So my question to you is, what is the wish for the next phase of your career?
That's a great question. You know, my wish kind of goes back to, you know, my theory in all of it. And that's, in all honesty, I wish to just be able to see what's next. I wish to be able to be aware of what's next. I often say that the window of opportunity is guaranteed. It's just not guaranteed you'll see it. So my wish is not for it to be bigger. I just wish to be able to acknowledge it, perceive it, and understand whatever's to come, whether it's bigger or smaller, that I can learn. If it's smaller, I can learn from it. You know, if it's bigger, I can be moved by it. You know, not because I will tell you, I'll be honest with you. There was a period where in my career, all my dreams that came true, and it felt like an obligation. I wasn't having fun. And I think I wasn't having fun because I didn't have the ability to be able to see it correctly. You know, I was very lost in just the weight of how much it was taking from me. And I was like, I gotta sing again. I gotta go get on the plane again. I'm just tired. I don't want to do it. You know, I really was weighed down. I really was weighed down by it. And I think the whole thing of Music Fan First, like I became a fan of this again. You know, so I think my wish is that I'll be able to receive it correctly.
That's a beautiful wish.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful wish. I as people can probably tell, we know each other. I'm trying to act like we don't know each other.
Girl, you better stop. Right.
Trying to be all professional.
You better stop.
I have to tell people your dedication. I'll tell one story. I know many stories, but your dedication, one year, you were coming to St. Louis to perform, and we had a tornado.
My God.
Yes. And you called me and you said, so what's the weather like? I'm like, the tornado's over. You should be cool, because you were deciding, should you get on the plane? And I was like, it should be cool. But then I said, Eric, let me be real serious with you right now. We're going through a rebellion right now. This is when Ferguson was going on. And I said to you, we need this. And you said,
remember that.
You said, I'm getting on the flight. And I don't think I ever properly thanked you for that. But the way you elevated us in that moment was nothing but God. And I really appreciate you getting on that flight and showing us the love. And I just wanted to sincerely say thank you, because I don't think I did it at the time.
You didn't. Look at you. It's overlooked me.
Rude,
So
just
rude. Just rude. You know?
But that's
I appreciate that. No, it's all love. I appreciate that. No, and, I remember that conversation. I remember that time. That was a tough time. Mm-hmm. But guess what? Once again, music is an act of service. And we were able to come there and help people heal a little bit. Yes. Take their minds off. Doesn't mean I want you to forget about it. No, it's not that. It's just we're going to let you kind of process that, but take a break from it for a second so that you can reapproach it and be strong. And I think that was important. I remember that night. I remember the exact venue and everything. I remember that night like it was yesterday. It
was a great night, and it was definitely a healing for a lot of us. And that just shows your dedication to your fans, to your process, and to your art. And that says a lot about your character. And I really wanted to take the time to have this interview so that people can get to know more about the Eric Roberson that I love and know. Now that we're finally done with all the questions, please share with our audience how they can find you, where they can order the book, the album, and any events that you have coming up that they can participate in.
They can go to ericrobersonmusic.com and order whatever they want. T-shirts, books, CDs. It's all at ericrobersonmusic.com. They also can find all like my social media stuff at Erro44 Instagram, ERRO44 at Instagram. And we have a special thing called The Process, where people subscribe to follow me in the studio, meaning every idea I make, even the books and all the writing, as fast as I create it, they get a copy of it. They get a chance to watch the process from something, from the start to finish. And if anyone's interested in joining that, all you have to do is go to jointheprocess.com to join. Yeah.
So, Eric. Thank you for our date.
Thank you as well. I had a lovely time. A lovely, lovely time. You are phenomenal as always. And look forward to seeing you again in the loo. And then,
or around the globe, since I'm traveling again. I might pop up in a city that you're in.
I know that's right. I ain't mad at you.
So again, thank you for everything. I appreciate you being here. And I want to say have a beautiful night. And I can't wait to see you release all of this fabulous music to the world on April the 1st.
I love it. Love it. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Need anything else, give me a holler.
Most definitely. Thank you again. Bye.
All right, no doubt. I'll talk to you later.
Thank you for listening to Black Women Amplified. We hope you enjoyed the show. Be sure to subscribe and log on to blackwomenamplified.com for more information. Keep shining.